First up is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which is quite a mouthful of a title. We've got Tom Cruise back for his 7th outing as Ethan Hunt, and I gotta say, I don't remember any of the details of the prior 6 movies. I generally know the premise of them, but the good, I guess, thing about this is you don't really have to know a ton about it. You just have to know the sort of idea that Tom Cruise will be assigned an impossible mission at some point, yet somehow we'll probably figure out a way to do it. That is the whole premise of it. And there were points in the intro, this is not going to be a spoiler, but there were points of the plot that I was like, was I supposed to have rewatched the other ones going into this? And, I was talking to my companions after we watched it, and it turns out, no, some of this is kind of retcon. Some of this is just, filling in the blanks of the backstory that they haven't touched on before, all this stuff. But the good news is, I guess you don't really have to remember the other ones seeing these movies. And I think, for better or worse, that is the thing about a Mission Impossible or like a Top Gun or something like an Avatar even, is that these movies that are such huge blockbusters, they try to make them so broad and kind of rudimentary that they can be globally and universally appealing, which I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with. I do think it is popcorn fodder and it's enjoyable by a broad audience. It might not challenge you to think ever during these things, but that is its own form of entertainment. And that's not to say it's invalid, but you are going to unplug during this. There's going to be a plot and you are just going to be like, all right, I don't care because I'm just going to follow whatever Tom Cruise is doing because he is so, cleanly the good guy that you have to follow. All you have to do is follow along, right? Unlike something like, I'm going to do a lot of franchise comparisons, but unlike something like a Fast X where they try to have people switch sides briefly, even though it's all going to end up, fine in the end. This is just like, yes, good guys. These are good guys. But, like I said, Tom Cruise is back, and as much as I might have a problem with him as a human being, he is a movie star, and he knows how to make a movie like this. We've also got Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Esai Morales, Palm Clementif, and Shea Wiggum. And, I think the thing about these is, like I said, you don't have to really know anything going in, as long as you are vaguely familiar with the idea that Tom Cruise will be handed an impossible mission and most likely will find a way to do it. Like that's really what we're going here for. The action is very impressive. I think at this point in time, I'm just like, why, man? Like, is this fun for you? Which it probably is. I am very impressed and horrified by what they did. I think the dialogue, again, is, like I said, these things are going for the lowest common denominator. So it's not exactly going to extend your vocabulary or give you a Shakespearean level performance, but it is what it is. You don't need to know, it turns out, the backstory. I think if you were to rewatch the other ones, it might help a little bit, but it's okay. I think my biggest critique with this particular movie is, and this is admittedly applicable to most modern sort of action films, is that they are trying to make the enemies so advanced and so nebulous and all this stuff that I'm just like, I care, but I don't care. And a little bit of me yearns for the days of when you had a nemesis or a person who wronged you, who did a very specific thing, and that's the only thing you're after, and all this stuff. And I feel like they're trying to incorporate that. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but that, for this one, felt like it was reaching a little far beyond, as many other films I feel like are being pushed to do, but that was a little odd. I do think it's a good movie. It's entertaining. It's a little bit on the long side. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes, but it moves along. If it had been like 15 minutes shorter, I would have said this is, perfect popcorn movie. The other thing is, the performances, like I said, they're fine. All the actors are doing their job. A lot of similar-ish looking British women in it, basically. I think we cast all of the, in a certain age bracket British women working right now. That's not true. There are others, but, I just, I'm looking at my notes and it's fine. It's fine. I think if you were already inclined to see it, you're going to have a great time. If you were not inclined to see it, I'm not going to push you to see it because, actually, I would say that there are some of the other Mission Impossibles that I would say, that might be worth seeing for the stunt or the stunt, because there's always the stunt in the film, and this is no exception. But yeah, I think it is a good entry into the franchise. I think by breaking it up into this whole part 1, part however many we'll get, we don't know. I would assume a part 2, but could be a part 3 and 4 coming. It feels open-ended because it's not technically done, and so it does feel you feeling a little unfulfilled at the end. But at the end of the day, it's a Mission Impossible formulaic film. It didn't throw any particular surprises at me. I don't think it's the best of these modern ones, but it's still pretty good. So I'm going to give it a 3.8 out of 5. The other thing I have this week is the Afterparty season 2, and I gotta say, the first season of the Afterparty came out of nowhere for me, at least, because I just stumbled upon the screeners, and I think it is one of the best shows I've seen on television in a while. I love that the overall premise is that, a murder is committed, and each episode is a different character's perspective of it, told in a different genre or style, and I thought it was so clever and innovative, and it's very funny. I think they did such a good job of capturing and creating these various styles and then also sort of peppering in the info of the mystery through them. So it was really fun to watch. It was really great to watch as a binge, honestly, because you could just sort of blaze through it, but it will be releasing weekly. So we're back for season 2. Season 2 is mostly a new cast. We do have 3 characters who carry over. So you've got Tiffany Haddish back. She played the police detective in the first one. She is back as Detective Danner. And then you've got Sam Richardson and Zoe Chow coming back as Anik and Zoe. They're a couple, and now we are at Zoe's sister's wedding for season 2. They are joined this season by Elizabeth Perkins, Zach Woods, Paul Walter Hauser, Poppy Liu, Anna Kunkel, Jack Whitehall, Vivian Wu, John Cho, and Ken Jeong. And truly a stacked cast. I was so excited also to see so many Asian people in a comedy on streaming, but major streaming. The one thing I will say for season 2 is, because I had no expectations for season 1, it could blow me out of the water. And because I loved it so much, of course I came into season 2 with just a little bit of expectation. And it's different. It's a different show. I think the idea of having these characters carry over is a little absurd because it's like, well, how many murders are going to follow these folks? But then if you look at something like Murder, She Wrote, like how many murders were committed in this small town? All right, we're suspending our disbelief. I think the genres I personally did not like as much in the second season, but that's a personal thing, right? Like, I think they did a really great job of capturing them. The only thing is I was like, oh, some styles I tend to gravitate towards more were captured in the first season, but I still think they did an amazing job. It's just a personal preference thing. I really enjoyed the show. I really like that it is a mystery, and then when you rewatch it, or if you rewatch it, you do pick up things each time. You're like, that's where that was planted. Oh, I see that's come back. And there are it's so funny. There are such absurd moments. I just enjoyed it so much. The first season took place at a high school reunion. This one takes place at a wedding. It is just ripe situational comedy. So first 2 episodes are out now, and then the rest will be releasing weekly. It'll be 10 episodes, and that's going to be on Apple TV+.